Okay, so welcome to the job club. We've not prayed. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for today. We ask you help us that the knowledge would enable us to get the kind of job we want in Jesus' name.
Amen.
All right, so I would share my screen with you. So in the past couple of weeks, we've been going through the section looking at interviewing. Okay, looking at interviewing. Getting a job has a lot of parts, and that's what all the parts will be looking at till now. I'm waiting for the PDF to update itself. Please wait a while. The update is installed. Okay. Okay. Okay, finally. Oh, that's not what we're looking for. Okay. Welcome, Joseph.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Good. So that's what we've been using. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, sir.
So that's what we've been using, looking at steps to employment. And we've focused on the aspect of finding your motivation, overcoming the obstacles, but at every point in time, there's an obstacle that is blocking you while you've not gotten the job type of job you want. So how do you identify that obstacle? How do you overcome that obstacle? And how do you now get the job that you desire? So we looked at discovering your strengths, your ability to recognize your strengths, discover your strengths, and articulate your strengths to employer, and your skill sets are key, are important. Getting to know employers, we've done. Writing CVs and application 1 and 2 we've done, and now we are succeeding at interviews. And we've been doing this now for some weeks. Now, I've mentioned this over and over again. The job club is 8 weeks of support. However, this section, number 6, which is succeeding in interview, I normally take the privilege that I have to treat that sometimes 4 weeks. Why? Because there are to be able to go to an interview, it's good there are about 15 questions you need to be aware of, that you need to prepare for. So even if I'm not able to prepare for the 15, there's a need for you to be able to know how to show up at interviews. So today, we'll continue again, and some of the things I'm going to do again today, we've done it before, but there is a new resource. That's the right word. There's a new resource which I've just developed, and I think I want to share that with you today. You might have seen it. I've shared it widely and broadly on the social media, but just to show it and to help you, it provides a succinct articulation of the things you need to know for some of the questions you'll be getting when you go for an interview. And that's what I want to quickly apply or talk about today. So I've mentioned earlier that when you go for an interview, the key point, or one of the key they'll first start with you, is tell me about yourself. Or That's the first thing, assuming they will tell you. However, your ability to answer that question is based on having a framework which you have mentioned over and over and over again, which is the STAR framework. And let me also share that for us to know what I'm talking about. So when you go for an interview, you articulate your value based on the STAR network framework. Situation is situation is describing the situation that warranted this thing, the story you want to tell us. You must describe a specific event or situation. Number 2 is a task. Number 3 is the action. What did you do? What did you do in particular? The task is what were you given to do? The result is what came out of that. So I've been able to put this in a very interesting and more succinct, so to speak, way that will help you to articulate. And when you see that in any interview you're going to, you can quickly just say, oh, I know what to respond, and that is it. Can you see my screen well?
Yes, we can, sir.
All right. So that's the way I have. Okay, it's paused. Sorry. Okay. I'll find my picture again. Okay. Yeah. So this I do you agree with me that this is much more interesting than the letters the word I showed you before?
Yes, this is more.
And again, what I've done is to show you the key things you need to do under each heading, what you need to demonstrate. So when you are answering any question, or maybe let me pause on this. Let me pause on this and go back to, I'm going to go back to it because in any interview you are attending, this is the framework to answer every question. So let me stop this and go back to, or let me just even go ahead. Let me just go ahead. So when they ask you anything, you talk about the situation, you describe the situation when it took place and what was involved. This is your opportunity to set the scene. You highlight the industry, the market that work was in, or the company you work with. So say, for example, we have Mrs. Amuson here. Say, oh, can you please tell me of a time when you worked, what was the biggest account you worked with? Like I asked earlier. Or what was your biggest achievement as an accountant? So you now come with this framework to answer that question. So any question that they ask you at the interview, you use this framework to answer the question. Oh, excuse me. there's a situation. You said the same. While I was working at the Lagos Treasury, I was responsible I was with the Lagos Treasury, blah, 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 for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That office was responsible for all the staff of the Lagos State government, which is a region. Lagos State is a state in Nigeria, western part of Nigeria, is the second largest. You said the same. Can you see now? Is the biggest city in the whole of Africa. You are still the same. If that is true, the Treasury was responsible for how many staff? 15,000 staff. And I, as the accountant, I worked in that team. What was the task? What was your responsibility in that place? As a result of working in that place, my task as the chief accountant, for example, was to ensure that all the staff, 15,000 staff, their salary is paid and all account receivables were done, all suppliers were paid, all leave bonus, gratuity, everything was done. So that was my responsibility. So my responsibility as an accountant was to take care of this huge amount of 15,000 staff salary. We have suppliers. The suppliers, we have about 100,000 suppliers. I'm just giving an example so you can get my point. 100,000 suppliers ranging from all industries. We had staff also who are going on pay while retiring. I was to calculate their I was responsible for their emolument and to calculate that also. And so can you see, based on what I said on that task, highlight the challenges, highlight the constraints, highlight the deadlines, highlight the issues. So you are highlighting the issues that you did when you were in that role. So the action, what did you do now as an accountant with all these things you set up? So what strategies did you put in place? I ensured that every morning I created a team to work with me, and this team, so I put each of them, one person in charge of account receivables, one person in charge of the salary, one person in charge of retirement, one person in charge of all the suppliers, and I bring this team together. I meet with them every morning to look at where we are at, and I work like that systematically. I work with them and I ensure that salaries are paid as I went due. All before I joined I'm already jumping into results now. Before I became the accountant, there was always delay, 30 days delay in paying our suppliers. And those who are on who are pensioners, who are supposed to be receiving their gratuity, there's a backlog. There's a backlog of about 5,000 people backlog in which they've not been paid for the past 5 years before I became an accountant. So after I joined, with the strategies I put in place, from 30 days of delay to paying our suppliers, I was able to ensure that became reduced that to 1 week. All the pensioners who were the 5,000 backlog of pensioners who were supposed to receive their emoluments and their gratuity and have not been done, and I sorted all of them out, and now I've put in place processes that ensure that once somebody retires, they don't need to go to any backlog. Their money is paid them as and when due. So how would you, Mrs. Amuso, how would you assess my role as an accountant? We thought that if you are the one employing me.
Beautiful. Nice. I would like to work with somebody like you, sir.
So
I think you are bringing something to the table.
Yeah. So that is how you use this framework to articulate. You could see under results, I talk about my achievements. I talk about the things I've improved. I talk about how I was able to cost saving. all the things I've been able to do under resolve, I'm able to articulate that. Then reflection. Oftentimes, some people will just tell you star. They don't talk about reflection. Reflection oftentimes come up at the point of what did you learn? So if you want to say, well, even though the situation at hand now is not a negative situation, because that's often where reflection comes in, but it's still positive reflection. So from my experience and how I've been able to have been successful, I have learned that without a successful active team, without meeting with the team, having good people with and allowing the team to take initiative, one cannot be successful. And that's why anywhere I work, I like to have good people in my team and work together and meet with them regularly. And I hope if you employ me in this role, I'll be able to also develop a team that we're going to be able to lead them, provide leadership for us to deliver based on the corporate objective of the organization. That is how this STAR technique works.
Thank you, sir.
So, having said this, let me now go to the first question that might be asked in an interview. That when you go for an interview, one of the first things, sometimes some people might not ask that one. Some people might start with, why do you want to work with us? But some people, they want to break the ice. They come up with and ask you this question. So tell us about yourself. Then you use the QESAD, QESAD framework to talk about yourself. And I said, use box 1 to 5. You do all this between 5 and 7 minutes. Reason you don't want to bore them. You want to just make your response very succinct. If you can even do it under 5 minutes, good, but ensure that all the basic things are included in your responses. So when they ask you, tell me about yourself. I say, oh, thank you very much. My name is so and so. I am an accountant. I have BSc in accountancy. I have PGD accountancy. I am ACCA chartered. I've been working for the past 23 years as an accountant. And in that space of time, I've worked in diverse kind of industry. I've worked in public sector, and I've also worked in the private sector within this particular point of time. And the organization I've worked with, actually, in the private sector, we had employees that were ranging in the frame of 15,000 employees. When I was working in the private sector, we had an employee running into 100,000 employees. So can you see I've moved from qualification into experience? Can you see that now? Into experience.
Yes, sir.
I've moved into experience. The number of experience, the number of years I've done the work, the number of people I've worked with, the number of people I've worked in the private sector, in the public sector. Now, what are the skills? What skills are relevant to the job of an accountant? So, and I said, provide details of 4 to 5 skills you have which is relevant to the role. So now you are applying as an accountant. What are the skills of an accountant? So as an accountant, I was responsible for managing, the example I gave earlier, I was responsible for, as I was a chief accountant. And because of that, I have always liked attention to details, like to ensure that I balance the books, like to ensure that everything is well, like to ensure that the teams are working fine. So what other things? Account reconciliation. I don't know, maybe junior staffs only want to do that, but I hope you get my point. I'm not an accountant, so I'm just creating this idea.
That's right, sir.
So I'm skilled in balancing the ledger. I'm skilled in accounts receivable. I've used Sage software to pay all the salaries. and to manage all. So I'm skilled in using software. I'm also skilled in management accounting. I'm also skilled in because I'm CIMA certified. I'm also able to cut costs, reduce costs. I do blah blah blah. Then again, achievement. What did you achieve during this period? And I put there some suggestions. Have you saved time? Tell us how you save time. Example I gave earlier, 30 days of paying suppliers reduced to 1 week. That is, you have saved time and cost. Have you saved money? Were they wasting money? And you're able to save the company money. How much did you save the company by bringing change into the system? Have you improved the processes, the way they were doing things before you became the chief accountant? Did you improve that process? Have you increased profits before you became an accountant, the chief accountant? How much were the organization making? Now you are the chief accountant. Often you think is a public service, but you need to link your performance to the corporate objective of the organization. So how much did you increase? Did you increase profit? Did you increase the market share? Did you increase the visibility to say, oh, before I became the accountant, actually the treasury did not even have any presence on the social media. People do not even know what we do in the treasury. So I ensure that we get young people on board to create presence on the social media, a LinkedIn profile, a Facebook profile, Instagram profile, and we've been able to provide content that is helping to staff to know what we do. And through that, we've improved our engagement and communication with all the staff and also people, all the stakeholders at large. So give percentage. Before I joined the organization, the performance was around 60%. But after I joined the organization, the performance of the Treasury Department and the office, which I head and I chair, now has improved to 95%. And I've been able to increase the amount of, ensure that all our suppliers, the satisfaction rate of our suppliers before was 50%. Now, satisfaction of suppliers has gone to 95%. Before I joined, all the pensioners were not paid on time. Satisfaction rate of them was even 35%. Can you imagine that? And after I joined and I ensured all the backlogs were cleared, now satisfaction of the pensioners has gone to 95%. So if you employ me in this role, I understand. So number one, under demonstrate, tell the employer what you know about the role. I understand that for this role, you are looking for an accountant to manage the books, to ensure that all the books and everything is done, for you to submit your account on time to Oscar, the charity that is overseeing the organization. And I also know that you're looking for an accountant that will be able to solve all the problems, remove all the backlogs, and ensure that all the account receivables are received on time, that there's no bad debts, that all the monies are received, and also that all our suppliers are paid as at when due. From my experience of what I've done before, I'm the person to help you do just that. And I know with my wealth of experience, with the achievement, in fact, I received consecutively for 4 years the best staff in the whole of the civil service sector in my state. So I know I'm bringing something on board. I am the right candidate. I am the right fit to help you to move your organization to the next level. Thank you very much. Will you employ me?
Thank you, sir. I will employ you.
Mr. Larry, are you still there?
I'm clapping. I'm doing clapping, sir.
So tell me about yourself. So this is a good framework that helps you to know all the things you need to discuss and you need to say within that 5 to 7 minutes to articulate the value that you carry. Quickly, I'll go to the next one, which I have. The next one would be so here is the next question. Here is the next question. After you have told them what you have told them about yourself, the next question is, why this company? Oh, I'm not sharing my, are you seeing my screen? No, I don't think I'm sharing my screen. It's not showing that I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, sir.
What can you see?
Why do
How
you
to?
want?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, sir.
How do you
No,
want to work here?
Why
How
do you
to
want
answer behavioral interview questions?
Okay, good, good. That's what I want to. That's what. So the next question is why? What out of all the organizations in this UK, why have you chosen our company? Why do you want to work for us? Why do you want to work with us? And that's why you use this skill, this framework, EVSFD. Again, within 5 to 7 minutes, if less, good. You need to first, the E is evaluate. Take stock of, because that it might be an internal thing. Why do I want to work for this organization? So you need to have known that and articulate that to say, why do you want to work with this company? What inspires you about the position? These are the things you need to have in mind to say, oh, thank you very much for that question. Well, I want to work with this organization because as an accountant for the past 35 years, I've worked in my previous firm and I've now relocated back down to the UK. And so I want to join an organization where I can continue to add value and bring value to the table. And interestingly enough, because in my last role, I was an auditor. I for the past 3-4 years, I've been doing audit, and it has become a place I like. And I can see in this application, in this role, actually, there's that aspect of auditing. So it actually makes me very want to apply for this. And I say, yes, that is what I've been looking for. And that is why I applied for this particular role. And I can also see under values, I can see that your organization, your values are well spelled. You know, you're a company that stands for integrity. You're a company that stands for sustainability. And interestingly enough, I'm a member of the Environmental Society, and anything sustainability is where I want. So I want to work in such kind of environment and organization that is concerned about the environment, concerned about sustainability, and so that we can all ensure that we save our planet. And I can also see that you are an organization that has been winning awards. I like to win. I like to be with an organization like you saw. I saw that you won the award of the best of corporate organization in 2022, in 2023, even this year. Wow, it's a place to be. And I want to also come to join so that we can continue to win more awards for the organization. And I'm aware that for you as an organization, your product, you have 4 products, and you do some servicing of some of those clients about your services. And I know that you stand out for excellence in everything you do. And these are values that I also stand for. And I want to see how I can bring my value to the table to ensure that this organization continues to exist. So in the last 15 years, 28 years that I've been working, so my skills, you talk about your skills. I've been working as an accountant. I've managed portfolio of over $1 million. I've managed portfolio of $1 million as an accountant, and I've been able to ensure that all the books are balanced right on time. As the chief accountant, I've ensured that the aspect of account receivables, the issue of the gratuity and pensions, the issue of suppliers, the issue of bad debts. In fact, one of the things I received award for in my last organization was the recovery of bad debts. Some debts that the board have actually written off. And I was able to create a structure to recover those debts and into the tune of £500,000, which actually I received an accolade for that, what I did because of what I, so I have the skill to be able to work with you as an organization. So looking at me as a person, I am the right candidate for this. Why? Because I could see, I understand your organizational culture, your company culture is a place whereby you value initiative, you value creativity, and those are kind of places where I thrive as a person. Personally, I'm a person that always like to, work and deliver value and to ensure that I work at the highest pace, like I've done in my company where I worked before. I ensure that I did meet all the corporate objectives. And also, like I mentioned earlier, I was able to build a team and I was part of the team, which even though I was leading them, but we are all first among equals and we're delivering. So I know what it means to work in a team to ensure that corporate objectives are met. And that is why I've applied for this role, because I believe that with my experience, 23 years experience, with my experience of being able to increase profits for my previous organization, with my experience of being able to improve the processes of how things are done in my previous organization, how I told you earlier, of how I'm able to also increase the market share from 35%. Now our market share has grown with all the processes I put in place to 65%. And also I'm able to save costs in my previous organization and also save time, increase also the visibility. I believe and I know that I am the right candidate for this particular role. So I know that the panel would agree with me and give me the opportunity to help take the organization to the next level with my wealth of experience. Thank you very much. So, just will you employ me? So,
I will employ you, sir.
So this is a framework. I think it helps bring all the things you need to be thinking about as you're going for the interview. It has put all of them together. Hopefully, maybe next week, because it's already 1 o'clock, we'll continue with other frameworks which we'll be able to come up with and help. And now that I've been able to share this, maybe I will now share it on the WhatsApp group to everyone so we can have it and also be able to use this to articulate the value you carry in any interview. So thank you very, very much. Any question? Any question?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. No question. That section was.
All right. So it's recorded. So I would put it on. Oh, Clement, you are here. Clement, are you there?
My question, sir.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Because this has been an insightful session. And where do we draw the line between what we have achieved and trying to be to sweet talk?
Okay. Now, when you mean sweet talk, what do you mean?
I mean, when you are in an interview or you want to showcase yourself, you actually want to put out your best foot, your best side and stuff like that. But I'm saying, for example, while trying to sell yourself, I know one should not say what one has not done before, but based on experience and things like that, if you let yourself go How do you draw a line so that you don't step out of the line? I don't know if you understand
I
me.
do. I get your point. In other words, to ensure that you are talking about facts and not just fluffs. And that's the reason why I believe that these frameworks are a very good way of articulating what have you done before? What did you deliver before? You see, why it is called behavioral interview questions is that the way you acted and delivered 5 years ago is the way you're going to act and behave now. Human beings will really change because we are creatures of habit. So if you have, because don't forget, before you are invited to come for interview, you've sent in your CV ahead, haven't you? It was your CV they used to assess you, to say, okay, let's invite this person for interview. So you are only providing life experience than what is written on paper of what you have done before. Does that make sense?
Does make sense.
So you are only providing to say, here am I in flesh and blood. I'm telling you what I've done before. So, and that is why you need to ensure that every question you are answering, you are drawing from what you have done before. That's using the STAR technique. While I was at this place, I did X. While I was there, I did X. I did Y. And that's the reason why they have references. When they ask for your reference, your referees also will be able to allude to the fact of what you have done, the delivery that you said you have done in those organizations. I know somebody who went to an interview of recent, and when he went for the interview, he went with hard copies of some of the things he had done before. Does that make sense? So hard copies, so that you say, oh, because you might think that, oh, what he has done is not, he went with hard copies. So as much as you are able to authenticate, as much as you are able to demonstrate what you've done before, I think is better one works. And that is why I mentioned earlier in one of the frameworks, specific figures. What did you, and when it comes to figures, you need to, if you want to go to making it not to be a fluke of, oh, I improved processing from 35% to 80%. If you want to demonstrate how that works, what you can tell the panel, how did you calculate? So it's not that maybe you're just pulling figures from the air. You're pulling figures of increase in percentage. You increase this from here to here. How did you tell us how the scientific process, how that you use to get the data that you are drawing from? Is there a research at R&D department? Was there a research survey done? Was it a yearly research survey? Was it a quarterly research survey? Was it even an independent research organization that did the research? You need to provide those hard evidences. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. I'm
So,
very grateful.
yeah, so it's important to be able to have facts, figures of what you've achieved, of what you've done, and that's why the STAR technique, again, I mentioned earlier, the STAR technique helps you to tell your story in a way of what you've done before. And that is why I say that when you see a job advert, first and foremost, when you get the job advert, look at the job advert, spend ample amount of time, minimum of 30 minutes, minimum. If you have 1 hour, good. Go line by line with the job advert. Go line by line with the job description. Look at all the areas and see, have I done something like this before? when did I do it? Because sometimes your experience you are going to use or the examples you're going to give might not be from the organization or the company you work with immediately last. It might be from when you are even a junior staff maybe many years ago. So your ability to go through the job description and look at, oh, this question, have I done it before? Do I have the experience? Oh, yes. So when was it? What example can I give for this job description? Oh, it was when I was a junior staff. That was almost 20 years ago. All right. So which example was that? You are bringing from your memory the example that will meet each of what is in the job description. And that's why I mentioned that in your skill set, have at least 4 or 5 that you can experience of what you've done and the skills that is needed for the job. And you can look for those kind of experiences. I mentioned in one of the frameworks, if you are looking for a managerial role, you might be having 2 examples and still you need to give them within that same 5 minutes or 7 minutes. If it's a high managerial role, you might need to have two examples for every question you are answering, because this role now is what? Managerial. It's high up there. Responsibility, you are responsible for people, and you need to show that the one you did that they gave is not just an apple stance or just a fluke, that I did it once, I did it twice, and you give two examples like that. That goes to ensure that the panel, they believe that, well, yeah, you did it once, you did it twice, you can do it also for our organization. So thank you very much. I hope.
Thank you, sir.
Helpful.
I want to ask another question,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
Okay. For example, when I was trying to do my CV for care, back home, actually, I didn't serve in a care home, but I had the opportunity of taking care of my late mom,
Okay.
my aunt,
Okay.
and then my mom's friend.
Okay.
All of them elderly. And even just before I came to England, my mom's friend that was not feeling fine, we had to, our daughter sent, because there was nobody at home. We had to go to her house. And anyway, we took care. I had to stay with her in the hospital and sleep there till our daughter returned from England. And so whilst I was I spoke with the daughter. I said, this is what I want to do, even though I want to write this experience in my CV. And she said it was okay. And my late aunt's daughter as well. So because I needed referees too. So I put up the CV stating, on that basis I was called. That was the first interview I actually attended, even though afterwards they told me that you don't mention people's names on the CV. Yes, because of this non-disclosure.
Did you mention those people's names?
Yes, I did.
What is salary do? I didn't look at your CV before you send it out.
Well, I didn't. The only person I could talk to them was my husband. So he said, it's okay. We sent it. Anyway, I was even called for an interview. And afterwards, but I was told to remove it. Okay. And then they would ask me, I think one of the reasons I did not even get the job eventually was because it was not through a care home. So okay. I'm in a fix. I don't have any care home. I learned some people actually manufacture their own care homes just to at least get a job. And I'm like, do I really want to lie just to get a job? So how do you go about it and still? That's my question.
Now, somebody, while we're talking here, even on this job, in this job club also, did not even have the kind of extensive experience you have. And she only catered for her own children. What she did in her own case was to create the company, the name of the husband as the company. She was employed in her husband's company to take care of the children.
Okay.
So the husband is the employer. And the experiences that she needs to articulate, she articulated it there.
Okay.
So the fact, you see, that is why, you see, that is why the job club is beneficial. If you have known this 6 months ago, would have guided you out of frame of, now not telling lies, but how to articulate this experience well on your CV in a way that it will come across the way it will not be looked at it as you don't have the experience.
Okay.
You have the experience, but the way and manner you have presented the experience on the CV is now even serving as a disadvantage. You have, hearing you today, you even have more experience than some people at all who don't even have the experience. So there's a way in which you can present that experience.
Okay,
And like you talk to those people as those who now be your referees. So if they say, oh, referees, I have somebody in Nigeria I work with. The issue of working with someone, you see, the experience is either pro bono or paid experience. You can get a job for, that's why I mentioned, that's why we started today, in a voluntary role, where you're not paid for it. You're not paid for the role, but you did the job. You can explain what you did, and which is what you've done now. You explain what you did for your mom, what you did for this person, what you did for that person, is for you to now go on the job website or the job you're looking for, explain the job description, the way they explain it, as what you did for those people in the language and terminologies and logic of what they would understand. And when you go for interview, you speak in that same lingua franca of how and what they are expecting and how they want it to, what you did for those people. So I wouldn't want you to be discouraged. So I've sent you my email address.
Yes, sir.
Send me an email. We'll look at the CV you have. We'll reframe it, make it in a way that will be open for someone to at least be much more believable and much more framed in a way in which those two persons you work with will still be like your referees when it comes to which company did you work with or which somebody. So each of those people, they might say, get a letter-headed paper on each of those people. What is wrong? Is they follow care something Nigeria, Abi? Because individual can have letterhead, can't they?
Yes, sir.
A company is an individual, but it's only legally. So I have my own letterhead. So I have put on my letterhead, even your CV. Your CV, do you know your CV is a letterhead because you put your name at the top? That's what a letterhead is. The name of the organization. So I believe we'll be able to, this will be sorted out.
Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can sort it out.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much, sir.
So Cheesy, how are you doing? If there's no other question, I hope that's been helpful. God willing, we'll see you again next week, Thursday. Next week Thursday is hopefully we'll see next week Thursday and see if we might move the time around, but we'll definitely see next week Thursday. Thank you very much for your time today. So let us pray. Lord, we thank you. We give you praise for the knowledge today. We ask that this knowledge will help your people to get the kind of job they want in Jesus' name.
Amen.
All right. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you greatly, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye, sir.